Welcome to week 2 of my first ever marathon block. Let's just say I did not think it was going to be this bloody hard.
Come back here, I get it done. Watch the way we flip it. Real deal, come back here. Elevate the hustle. I'm the future. Watch me innovate.
Oh, fuck. That sun's coming out too now. It's hot. This week is also the first challenge of consistency and being able to get a video out to you each week while also trying to make it as interesting as possible, actually worthwhile to film and document. Normally this video would not be getting put out because the week of filming I didn't actually film that much because I found it really challenging to keep the ball rolling from the last week without it feeling so repetitive each week, because it's going to. I'm pretty much doing very similar training blocks every week. And this week, without a ride and without really anything exciting in my eyes, I find it really hard to piece together a video. So we're going to do a bit of more of a recap video, more of me talking how I felt and with a few little overlays instead. So it's not going to be the most interesting, but I do want to keep consistent and actually just get these videos out instead, because I think that will help with my creativity, talking to the camera as well, and also be able to get that ball rolling instead of just being stagnant in one video not being good enough to my standards, because realistically I am very much of a perfectionist, and that's something I'm trying to be better at as a creative, especially in the sense of my own work, because most of you probably don't really actually give a shit about the small details I give a shit about. That's the first little test that we're going through. So the first question you'll give a shit about, and also I will give a shit down the line, is what did this week actually look like? We had a 7K easy, a tempo run with rolling 300s, a 6.5K easy, and then finishing the week with a 14K progressive longie. So the week of running kicked off on Tuesday, joining the crew at Sana Run Club for my easy 7Ks. This actually was my favorite and probably only good run of the week. The air felt a little bit lighter. I was able to keep my heart rate at around 150, but doing a pace of 530s, which has not been possible since summer came knocking on the door. That was really nice to have that Tuesday, run with some friends and actually be able to stay at a conversational pace without running like a bloody snail. So yeah, Tuesday was a good day. Always good to hang out with the crew there, get some socializing done in the morning, and yeah, it's just a sick crew. Well, my creativity's back, but why the fuck does it have to come out like at 10 o'clock at night and my brain just doesn't fucking stop? I've had, what do we have, 5 hours sleep score 75, which is actually pretty impressive for 5 hours and 45 minutes sleep. It is 6:15, so a bit later than I'd normally like, but that's fine. At least I got some sleep. So yeah, we have some rolling 300s on the cards for today. What is it? 5 sets of 415s followed by 505s with a 1.5K warm up and a 1.5K cool down. So yeah, that's on the cards for this morning and today. These tempo sessions, I find it really hard to find my pace and actually sit on it within the 300 meters. Generally, you feel really, really good at the first ones, and then you're struggling by the end of it. I went out the gates way too quickly on these ones and was sitting at like a 350 for the first 2 of them. And then the next 2 were like sitting in the 4s. By the end on the last one, it was absolute struggle street. Oh, fuck. That sun's coming out too now. It's hot.
I dropped my singlet on one of the 4:15 sets and had to deviate to grab it, so we'll see.
And I think we hit like 4:24 in the end. We were meant to hit 4:15s. It just did not happen because I went out way too hard and absolutely gassed myself on the first ones because I just couldn't find that 4:15 pace within that 300 meter mark. I don't know why, but I just struggled with it. Coming into Friday, I was pretty tired, to be honest. I was feeling pretty wrecked, and it was a session that was a lot harder than I thought just to get through. Like, the run itself wasn't hard. It was a 6.5K easy run, but it just felt like absolute shit, to be honest.
It is hot and sweaty today. Well, not hot, just fucking sweaty and humid. Overcast, but whew, we are sweating. Probably more than yesterday's workout. We're cruising.
It was also the last ever Scozzies Run Club, which is a little bittersweet moment, I guess, because it was the first ever run club I went to on the Goldie here, and it was probably a big reason why I love running as much as I do right now, and why I'm running a marathon in the first place. So if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have found the consistency with running that I did to start with, because that was pretty much the only run for the first month or two that I would do each week. On itself, I absolutely struggled. I just, for what it was, a 6.5K easy run, I struggled to find any rhythm, and it was pretty much just a slog it out run. Running once again in a group at a really slow pace to keep the heart rate down is a struggle in itself. And then doing an extra 1.5Ks on top of what we normally run there, just to tick over the Ks that are needed for the week as well. So it sort of was a good run to work out how to balance from the runs that I have to do and the runs that I actually want to do. So that's probably a good thing to think about moving forward as well. But yeah, Friday was done. It was wet, it was muggy, and it was absolutely gross. I don't know if I sweated more or got wet more from the rain. But yeah, it was a session that got done, but not one of any sort of enjoyment. Sunday's run taught me a very valuable lesson, especially this early into the marathon block, because I am never going into a run that underfueled, that dehydrated, ever again. That was absolutely messed up and a stupid decision by myself. I'm so glad we have someone to do it with, because I am underfueled, tired, and a little bit sore. So yeah, we've got 14 Ks on the table. We'll get through it. Simple as that. But it looks like a stunning morning out there. So, a little bit of a breeze, clear skies. Let's get some sun in me. Just going into the run, and even at the start of the week, I knew this one was going to be a challenge. It was 14 Ks progressive. And most progressive long runs are a challenge because you've got the distance involved, and generally at the end of it, you're running the fastest you've run all day, and it's a push. And it's something that you're going to struggle with. But I have never struggled with a run and felt so shit to the point of almost throwing up, but probably not really having anything to throw up, and getting to a point of just feeling dizzy that I did stop at one little point because I did not think I was going to make it to the end. So the run was broken up into, I guess, 4 segments. We had 4K, sort of a warm-up at conversational pace. That was done at 5:40s. And then we had 4.5Ks at 5K pace, which is pretty much on marathon pace that I'm going to have to run it at. It's a little bit faster than that for the sub 3.5 hours, but close enough to say. And then we had the last 4Ks at 4:40 per kilometer, which we hit both of those middle sections bang on actually. However, I did actually pause the watch at some points in time when I needed to get a drink and when I felt pretty dizzy, and I stopped for a bit. But we did finish on and get through it in the end. And then we just had a 1.5K conversational pace cool down, which I did at 6:35s, because by this point I was absolutely
fucking gassed. And I mean properly gassed. Like before the cool down, I was laying on the grass, sucking in some big ones and having a good drink of water just to recoup myself before the last 1.5K cool down. So this was a bloody struggle of a run. Yeah. Never going into a run like that, or probably ever any run that underfueled and dehydrated again. Like I worked the night before, I didn't have a break, which is my fault for not forcing myself to have one, and I didn't eat because I didn't feel like eating what I had available. So yeah, myself to blame, but I got up in the morning, I got it done. At one point, I did get up and I went back to bed because I was like, today's not the day. But I was like, let's kick on and get it done. Like, just keep yourself at it. But yeah, probably wasn't the best decision. I felt shit for the rest of the day, which I then had to go to Brizzy to see a mate and then also drive work in the afternoon as well. So it was a big day, really, really taxing. And by the end of it, I was ready for bed, let's just say the least. But I think it's something that I really need to work on is my nutrition. Not what I'm eating, but just eating enough of anything in the first place. Like I'm a person that doesn't feel hungry a lot of the time. I could get away with eating 2 or so meals if I wasn't training and feeling full enough. But yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those things I'm going to have to weirdly force myself to eat and get some fuel in me, because otherwise I think I'm just going to feel tired after every session. And I think realistically, that's probably one of the things I struggled with all week this week. And yeah, it's just something that I'm going to have to do because it's not something I'm used to. I don't need to lose any weight, and I just need to build muscle and strength in the muscle and also my endurance. And to do so, you need to be fueled. So yeah, that is definitely on the cards to build towards, because I don't want to feel like that again, because it shouldn't have been that big of a push. It was going to be hard, but it shouldn't have been that fucking hard.
Overall, week 2 was a success. I got every run ticked off, although it was a challenge, but it's meant to be a challenge. This whole thing of running and training for a marathon is challenging, but I'm also aiming for a time that is going to have to be a challenge in the training to get to that time. So yeah, I'm pretty happy, got through it all, and I didn't put any of it off. Body-wise, feeling great. It's just needing to, I think, fuel more, get a bit better sleep, and that way I probably won't feel as tired and lethargic all the time. So those two combined, I think, will help moving forward. The fueling one's definitely going to be the hardest, I think, of all. But yeah, wrapped with that. We've got another video out, is the main thing. We got through, we made it, and we move on to the next one. So yeah, come along for the journey. Hopefully it's interesting enough for you guys. I'd love to know if it is. Anyway, the videos are going to be coming no matter what, because they're for me anyway, so you're just coming along as an extra. But yeah, any tips, any suggestions, especially on the snack side of things, or just meals as a whole as well, drop them in, because that would be super handy. But yeah, we move on to the next and we get it done, baby. So cool. Yeah, sick. I don't know really how to end this, but like and subscribe, bitches.